The smartest drivers in this whole country will not touch a brand new car, and they buy cars that are 20 years old on purpose, using a trick I call the pre-screen. Picture yourself standing on a modern dealer lot on a bright morning, the new paint shining like wet candy, a young salesman walking towards you with a tablet in his hand and a smile he practices in the mirror. You climb inside, and the whole dashboard is one big sheet of glass, glowing blue. No knobs, no gauges, just a screen asking you to swipe and tap and agree. And here's the thing those smart drivers already figured out, friend. They will not touch that shining new machine. And once you understand why, you will never look at that dealer lot the same way again. There is a narrow window, a stretch of years, where the cars are old enough to be simple and new enough to be safe, and the people who know about it are buying up the exact right trucks and sedans while everyone else signs their life away on the glass. I am going to hand you that window before we are done, the precise years and the exact models to hunt for, so stay with me. Because let me tell you what that dealer lot really is, friend, once you strip the shine off it. It is a financial slaughterhouse dressed up with balloons and free coffee. The average new car out there now runs somewhere close to $50,000, and the way they get you to swallow that is the loan. 84 months, 7 long years of payments, at an interest rate that would make a credit card blush. And at the end of all those years of paying, you hand over the last check, and what do you own? A depreciating smartphone on 4 wheels, a computer that happens to have cup holders. You did not buy a car, you rented a subscription that they let you park in your own driveway. My name is Earl, and for 40 years I have turned wrenches on diesel trucks, watching them take a good thing and ruin it. I have got nothing to sell you here, no dealership, no parts counter behind me, no sponsor whispering in my ear. I am just an old diesel man who has seen what is under the hood of these new rigs, and I am telling you what I would tell my own family. Now let me be straight with you, because I will not sell you false hope. Buying an older car is not magic, and it is not free. You will have to turn a wrench now and then, or pay a good man to. But that is the trade, and it is a fair one, because the old iron can actually be fixed, while the new machine is built so that a $5 problem becomes a $4,000 problem. They don't build them like they used to, and that is not an accident. This is not on you. Nobody taught you this, because nobody selling cars wants you to know it. Before we get into the meat of it, I have got to ask you something. Most of the folks watching this right now are not subscribed, and that is just the truth of how these things go. If you love the idea of keeping a good honest car on the road and beating the dealer at his own game, then do an old man a favor and hit that subscribe button. It is free, and you can change your mind anytime you like. It helps an old diesel man keep making these for you, and it costs you nothing but a second. Go on and do it now, and then let us get into it. So let me tell you what actually happened and when, because there is a villain in this story, and it has a year on it, somewhere around 2018. The car companies made a decision. They looked at a dashboard, at all those physical buttons and knobs and gauges, and they saw money leaking out. A real dashboard has 30 wired switches, each one built and installed and connected by hand. That cost them, so they ripped all of it out and glued in one cheap touchscreen, and they sold that to you as luxury, as modern, as progress. Friend, it was cheaper to build. That is the whole story. It is not a conspiracy, it is just money. Here is what that switch actually did to you. On a 20-year-old car, if your air conditioning knob breaks, you drive to a junkyard, you pay $5 for the same knob off another car, and you snap it in. Done. On a modern car, your heat and your defrost and your radio all live inside that screen in the software. When that screen starts to peel apart, and they do, or when the little processor behind it cooks itself, you do not lose a knob. You lose your heat, you lose your defrost in the dead of winter. You lose everything at once because it was all pretending to be buttons on a piece of glass. And the dealer does not fix it, he replaces the whole unit, and that bill runs $3,000 to $4,000 for a part that did nothing but display a picture. You are looking at a car that runs perfectly, engine strong, and it is called totaled because of a glitch. That is what they built on purpose. I want you to sit with that number a minute, $3,000 to $4,000, sometimes more, to make the heat work again in a car whose engine has plenty of good years left in it. I have stood in a shop and watched a man's face when he got that estimate. He came in thinking he had a bad connection somewhere, a loose wire, a 20-minute job. He left being told his 4-year-old car needed a whole new brain to blow warm air. And the worst part, the part that would make you sick, is that there is nothing actually wrong with the car. The metal is fine, the engine would run another decade, but the company decided to hang every comfort you have on one fragile piece of glass, and when the glass goes, they get to sell you a small fortune. That is not a bug in the design, friend. That is the design. Keep that pre-screen window in the back of your mind while I tell you the next part, because it is the reason the window exists at all. Now here is where it gets personal, and I mean that literally. Every one of these new cars has a little cellular modem built into it, the same as a phone, always on, always listening. They call it telematics, and they sell it as safety and convenience. What it really is a machine that watches how hard you brake, how fast you take off from a light, and everywhere you drive, and then it phones that home. You did not imagine that. In 2024, it came out in the real reporting that the car companies, General Motors chief among them, were taking that driving data and handing it over to data brokers like LexisNexis, and LexisNexis turned around and sold it to the insurance companies. Folks got letters saying their rates were doubling, and they had no idea why. It was their own car that told on them, their own car that they were paying for, snitching to raise their bill. That is not safety, friend. That is a spy you bought and financed. Now, I am not telling you this to scare you or to make you paranoid, friend. I am telling you because it is true and because you have a right to know what you are buying. Think about the folks watching this who came up in a time when a car was just a car. You turned the key, you drove where you were going, and it was nobody's business where that was. Your car did not have an opinion about you. It did not file a report. Now you have got a machine that keeps a diary of every trip you take to the doctor, to the church, to your daughter's house 3 states away, and it sells that diary to whoever will pay. That is a lot to sign up for just to get from here to there, and you never signed up for it out loud. It was buried in a booklet of fine print you were handed at the dealer, page 40 of something nobody reads. That is how they do it. And this is the part where I remind you they would rather sell it back to you. The old ways were built better, but a car that lasts 20 years does not make them money in year 10. A car that spies on you and breaks on the schedule does. You don't own it, you're just renting it, and the landlord is watching. Let me take you under the hood, because it is just as bad down there. The government sets fuel rules, and to hit those numbers without spending real money, the car companies took big heavy SUVs and stuffed tiny little 3-cylinder engines into them with a turbo bolted on to fake the power. A little stressed engine working that hard, boosted up past what it was made for, blows head gaskets. Then they pair it with a transmission called a CVT, which is a fancy way of saying a metal belt running on pulleys, a glorified rubber band made of steel. That belt grinds itself into metal glitter over time, and when it goes, the whole transmission is done. These are not engines and transmissions. They are little grenades with a 70,000-mile fuse in them, and the fuse is already lit the day you drive off the lot. And think about what that does to a working family. You buy a big SUV because you have got kids and a dog and a life to haul around, and you are told it is efficient, it is modern, it is the responsible choice. Then right about the time the warranty runs out, right about 70,000 or 80,000 miles, the check engine light comes on and the shop tells you the head gasket is gone, or the transmission is full of metal and the repair costs more than the truck is now worth. So you are underwater. You still owe on it, and it is dead in the driveway. And where do they steer you next? Right back to the lot to sign another loan on another grenade. That is the wheel they have got you on, and they built it that way on purpose. It is not a conspiracy, friend. It is just money turning over and over. So now you are asking, all right, Earl, what do I do about it? Here is the window I promised you. There is a golden era, and it runs roughly from 1996 to 2008. Now, why 1996 of all years? Because that is the year the federal government mandated a thing called OBD2, a standard diagnostic system in every car. That one rule changed everything for us. It means a car from 1996 or after has modern electronic fuel injection, so it starts right up on a cold winter morning without any fuss. It has got real sensors you can actually read yourself, and it was built with modern airbags and modern crash protection, so it will keep you safe. But here's the beautiful part. If you buy one built before all that 2008 poison crept in, it carries none of the digital sickness, no touchscreen. No cellular modem phoning home, no automatic engine shut off at every stoplight. It has a real steel key you turn with your hand, thick copper wiring you can trace, and honest gauges with needles, modern enough to trust, old enough to own. That is the pre-screen window, and that is what the smart money is buying up right now. And you do not have to take my word for it. Go look at what the used car market has done to these very cars. The good ones from that window hold their value now, and in some cases they have gone up, because the people who know are not letting them go. Consumer Reports has been telling folks for years which of these old sedans run forever, and it is the same names every time. This is not some secret only mechanics whisper about in the shop. It is sitting right there in plain daylight for anybody who bothers to look. The car companies just hope you will keep looking at the shiny new glass instead. They mandated that OBD2 port in 1996 to help clean the air and let a mechanic read a fault. And by accident, they handed us the perfect line in the sand, the exact year the good cars begin. Now let me tell you exactly what to hunt for, because not every old car is a good old car. The first thing to write down is a late 1990S or early 2000S Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord with a 4-cylinder engine. These are the ones with the heavy iron or thick aluminum blocks, a timing chain instead of a belt that snaps, and a simple 4-speed automatic that shifts on plain hydraulic pressure. I have seen these cross 300,000 miles on nothing but regular oil changes. I knew a fellow, a nurse, who drove an hour each way to the hospital, and she put 340,000 miles on a Camry she bought used. And the only big thing she ever did to it was a timing set and brakes and tires along the way. That car owed her nothing. It just kept going because they built it to. The second thing to write down is a late 1990S Chevy or GMC pickup with a 5.7-liter Vortec V8, or an early 2000S truck built before they added that cylinder shutoff system that chewed up so many good GM engines. Simple, strong, parts on every shelf in the country. I had a neighbor, an old boy who ran a small landscaping outfit, and he bought a used Chevy with that Vortec in it back when it already had 110,000 miles on the clock. Everybody told him he was buying somebody else's problem. He worked that truck hard, hauling mowers and mulch 6 days a week, and it rolled past 300,000 miles, still starting on the first turn of the key every cold morning. He changed the oil, he changed the plugs, he kept the coolant fresh, and that was about the size of it. That truck made him a living for 15 years. Try getting 15 years of hard work out of a new one with a 3-cylinder in it. And the third one, the real loophole, the one the taxi drivers and the police departments knew about, is the Ford Panther platform. That is your Crown Victoria, your Mercury Grand Marquis, your Lincoln Town Car, body on frame, built like a truck underneath, with a low-stress 4.6-liter V8 that just will not quit. They built these things by the hundreds of thousands for police fleets and taxi fleets, so the parts are cheap and everywhere. A clean, garage-kept Grand Marquis you can find for $4,000 will outlast an $80,000 luxury SUV off that same dealer lot, and it will do it without ever sending a word about you to anybody. Every one of these is out there right now on the private market, and here's your action for today, the cheap entry ticket. Go on Facebook Marketplace tonight and just search those names, the Grand Marquis, the Vortec truck, the old Camry, and see what is near you. You are not buying yet. You are learning the market. That is free, and it costs you 10 minutes on the couch. Now let us talk about how you actually pull this off without getting burned, because there is a right way. First rule, and hear me on this, whatever you do not sign that 84-month loan on a new machine. Do not do it. That is 7 years of payments on something built to break in 5. Instead, you save up your cash, $5,000 or so, and you buy from a private seller, a real person, not a lot. Bring cash, and you hold the power. And do not let anybody make you feel foolish for it either. There is a kind of person who will look at you buying a 15-year-old sedan with cash and act like you have lost your mind, like the only smart money goes to the newest thing on the lot. But you run the numbers with me. A clean older car for $4,000 or $5,000, paid in full, that you can fix with a wrench and a junkyard part, against $50,000 financed for 7 years on a machine that spies on you and grenades itself the month the warranty ends. Tell me honestly which one of those is the foolish choice. The dealer wants you to think new means safe and old means risky, but under the hood it is the exact other way around. The old iron is the sure thing. Buy the iron, not the computer. Then you look for the physical tells, the honest signs of an analog car. You want a real metal key that goes into a mechanical ignition and turns. You want chunky air conditioning knobs that clunk when you turn them. Real switches with a real feel. And you want a gear shifter that pulls a steel cable when you move it, not one of those little digital dials or a push-button box. Those three things tell you the car is real, that it is metal and wire and not a computer wearing a car costume. And here is the last action, the smartest $20 you will ever spend. Buy yourself a $20 OBD2 scanner. Because every one of these cars from 1996 on has that port. You can plug in that little $20 tool and read the car's own health right there in the driveway before you ever hand over a dollar. And if you want to be sure, pay $100 or so for a pre-purchase inspection. Have a good independent mechanic put it on the lift and look it over. $100 up front saves you from a $4,000 mistake. Buy the iron, not the computer. When you buy that 20-year-old analog car, something real happens. You cut the data pipeline. There is no modem to phone home, no company selling your driving to your insurance man, no remote switch some corporation can flip to shut you down. You just own a car again the way it used to be. And that is the whole trick, friend. That is the pre-screen window I opened with, that stretch from 1996 to 2008, and now you know the exact machines to look for on it. The smart drivers were never crazy, they just did the math, and they refused to rent when they could own. They don't build them like they used to, and that was never an accident. It was a choice somebody made in a boardroom to sell you less and charge you more. But you do not have to play that game. This was never on you. You were just never told. Now you have been. So I have got two questions for you, and I want to hear from you down in the comments. First, what is the highest mileage you have ever personally put on one car, and what was it? And second, tell me, would you rather be a person who owns their car outright or a person who rents it from a corporation that watches every mile? I read those, so let me hear it. Keep that old iron running and don't let them sell you a truck you can't fix. I'll see you in the next one. And before you go, chew on this for the next one. It is not just your car they built this way. Go look at your kitchen. That refrigerator, that stove, that washer, the same trick is running in your own home. The same screens and sensors built to die on a schedule so you cannot fix it yourself. I'm going to show you exactly which old appliances the smart folks are hunting down and why the fight to fix your own things is the next big battle. You are not going to want to miss that.